That cue does kind of help. Yes, no?
This is the John Hallett Podcast with John Hallett.
Because the way we're living, we need to change it, make a change today. And all learn from failure. Maybe they just wanted it a little bit more than you. That's probably the fact.
And now your host, John Hallett.
Hey, welcome back. We're here again. Thanks for joining me. I always call it my stupid podcast because I don't like listening to myself, but I greatly appreciate you tuning in. Just had a member say he loved the podcast, and I don't really teach that many of his classes or any of his classes really, so it was kind of awesome to hear. Josh is super excited about it. He's probably going to try to bring himself into the show way early because he's excited. Josh gets excited. So welcome back. We are talking about things to say to yourself to get yourself going, to get that little voice out of your head. You know, we all have it, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. It's, you know, just along the lines of everything else. I think Josh was just talking about something in today's culture. And I'm like, it doesn't really matter. And you call it whatever you want. I don't care. Don't hurt people. But, you know, I feel people listen to that little voice on their head going, it's going to be okay. I tell little kids to tell that voice to shut up, and they're always like gasp, like, you can't say that word. I'm like, you can. You're telling the little voice in your head to shut up. Whatever you want to call it, the little devil, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. You got to just tell it to shut up someday, stop being weak. Whatever it is, it's really a big problem, I think, with a lot of people, that they just give in and they don't say, F you, get the hell out of here. I'm going to go do hard things. I'm not going to make another darn mistake, another stupid excuse. We can all make them. Sometimes I'm like, maybe I'll clean the gym versus hitting the heavy bag. That floor is a little dusty. Yeah, I should just clean. We all have it. It doesn't matter. I said it on our new daily message. We'll see how long that lasts. If you guys have catch that, I'm trying to keep those really short and just a little blast. I have no idea how long I'll keep those up. But if you guys like them, I'll keep doing them. Not just, it actually wasn't a Josh idea. It was kind of my idea of just a little quick thing that I've been having in my head. You know, what is it? What's the thing that pops into my head? Generally when I'm driving to the gym at, you know, about 4:40, I guess, is when I'm out of the cold plunge and kind of sort of warm, but not really. Hitting that heated seat because I'm weak. Maybe I should stop doing that. Maybe there's a weakness. Maybe I should stop hitting the heated seat and steering wheel after it. Trying to get warmed up after that cold plunge. But, you know, I say something to myself every day about, you know, geez, I could make the excuse. Maybe not today. You know, maybe not today. That's all right. Or I'm in there for 10, 20 seconds and I'm like, maybe a minute. Maybe I'll just stay in for a minute today. Maybe I'll just stay in for a minute. We got to get those little voices out of our head. If you want to be better, you know, I feel people think that they're great. You know, they don't train. You're not training. You're not doing something. I mean, anything. I think down the line here we'll get into my part 2, which is, you know, things that, you know, being a complete self-defense system. That's something I want to talk about today. But people just, I have a gun and I think I'm good. And you're not. You're not. Just because you have pepper spray doesn't mean you're good. You have a tool, and like any tool, you need to know how to use it. So get in and train, do something, no matter where you are. You know, you can get out and do something. It's just easy to make another mistake, and whatever it may be, you got to find another thing. You know, maybe I reconnected with a high school buddy of mine, D Barrows, freaking awesome guy, and been giving him crap, and now it's getting cold and snowing, and like he really likes to be on his mountain bike, and now it's not the greatest weather always, especially back in the Northeast, for being on your mountain bike. And just don't make another excuse. You just got to get that out of your head of, this is what I like to do. Sometimes we have to do things that we don't like to do. I think Josh uses the word do manly things today. Get up and do manly things. I will always have this suck less. You're just sucking if you're not doing it. And we all give in. I'm human. I think sometimes people get in their head that, like people are like, oh my gosh, you eat bad. Yeah, I will live life and have some fun here and there. And you're like, Reese's peanut butter cups are a weakness of mine. And, hey, you decided to go, screw it, I love these things. But it's the next day. Get back on it. Who cares? But what I find when I have those, that the next day your body's just craving that. It's just craving it, and it wants it. It's an addiction. So I'm like, I can only imagine the people that get hooked on real opioids that, God, I mean, I have a hard enough time with Reese's peanut butter cups. But, they're still sitting in a bowl on our counter. I'm hoping the kids will eat them, or, I'm pretty close to throwing them in the trash. But I'm using it as a test. Like, okay, you had them on Halloween. Nope. You want them today. Nope. And they're there as a test. But I know for some of you, having that food in the house is just too big of a test. You just got to get it out of there. But it's something I'll try to battle with. And I'm not saying I'm great and I'm not going to give in to pizza. And that's the problem. You can just keep eating those carbs, and that's where you just can't do it, guys. You can't do it. Maybe once in a while, but too many of you give in. Write it down. And then look back, and you don't even need a dietitian. You can look at it yourself and go, yeah, I'm a freaking fat slob. And that's kind of where, don't look at me, Josh. A bit of, I thought I'd get into it a little bit more. I'm like, you're like, call yourself, you're freaking weak. Don't be a puss. Call yourself a fat slob. Whatever it takes, you need to convince yourself that you are better than the person that's going into the drive-thru and getting the sugar-laden coffee. It's not even coffee. The only way to drink coffee is black.
Opinion.
That's not an opinion, Josh. That is the only way to drink it.
Opinion. Sorry.
But, I will say bourbon cream and Kahlua is pretty darn good in that Americano as well. But you got to treat yourself. You got to kick some butt all week to deserve that. We all give each other or give ourselves too much grace and go, I deserve it. You got to be really careful of giving yourself that, because there was a study, God, it's decades ago now, of people that started working out and gained weight because they felt they deserved it because they worked out. I felt I deserved it. Now you deserve it every stinking day, and now you're gaining weight. Just one stupid Frappuccino. I've talked about it before. I got in on it, opening another gym, and driving past the Starbucks in the afternoon and going, I think those Frappuccinos are pretty good. And then guess what? You're gaining weight and you're addicted to them, and you get in this little routine. What you need to do is get in the routine of freaking working out, doing something. I don't really care what you do, folks. Do something, find a fit. I don't want people unhappy in my business. I want people here that want to be here and a good part of the community. If the workout style isn't for you, it's not for you. It doesn't really hurt my feelings. I wish, you were with us and fit in, but I know I don't fit in with everything. I bumped into a guy, or didn't bump into, it was a guy managing a gym in Missouri this summer, and he had said something. I said, is this your gym? He said, oh, hell no. And I'm like, oh, and he went into it, and I'm like, yeah, that's why I have my own gym. because I'm picky. What I want to do. I have my own gym, and I want to create something that hopefully people related to. And I know not everybody's going to relate to what I do here and what our team does. But we do try to keep it diverse and different instructors. But you got to get out there and find something that fits you. I'm big into self-defense. If you're into competition, that's great. There's so much crossover in both things. So, I will tell myself, don't be weak. You're better than that. I use a lot. This is a big one. Live or die, live or die, live or die. And that clears my head a lot of times in sparring. If I'm about to do a drill or a scenario drill where I don't know what's going to come at me, I try not to think. Don't think is another one. Mushin is a great one. That's just, not thinking, to keep it simple, from the Japanese translation. I used to, and it's where it started, reckless abandon, of running down the football field with reckless abandon. And, so you're like, I don't get that. And like anything, sometimes you have to do it. That it was something Coach Thomas said from Nantucket High way back when. We've had him on the podcast. Go back and listen to that one. I love Coach. But it was running at full tilt, and I just got my stepson that was kind of mad about only starting on special teams in his first year ever of football as a freshman. He decided to switch over from of a lifetime of playing soccer to be with his friends and play football, and he definitely has the build. He could when he fills out, he's already bigger than his brother. He's going to be a big kid, but he got the Captain Crunch Award last week for just running over a guy on kickoff. And I love kickoff. You just get to run full tilt, and I'm like, I didn't care who. If I didn't get the ball carrier, I was definitely taking out a blocker, or I was just gonna run somebody over. I'm like, dude, that is so fun. I was trying to convince him. I'm like, you just run full tilt like a heat-seeking missile and try to get that. And if somebody just gets in your way, just take them out. Whatever it takes. So he was super pumped up about that, and I was mad. Senior year, they took me off of special teams to rest me, and I was like, I was pushing Coach Thomas that I didn't need a rest at all. But it's a good opportunity for those underclassmen to get playing time and get in there, and so I gave ground, or Coach probably would have whacked me around or something. But, it was something, too. I think some of these kids these days aren't getting challenged. We used to get challenged all the time. Sometimes they would challenge me with a has-been player that were kind of like either JV coaches sometimes, or just, around and want to be part of the program. They'd throw on a helmet and they would challenge me. And if I didn't meet the challenge, they were like, you're not going to start. I mean, of course, I took them seriously. Maybe they were probably just messing with me, like I mess with some of my guys sometimes and challenging them. Yeah, Josh, I'm going to see you on. I don't see you on that roster for the December test. I'm throwing down the gauntlet right now on air.
Accepted.
Accepted. But I was like, challenge. Why can you challenge? Did people challenge other players? No. Really? You can't challenge another player for their position and do a head-to-head? No, that's unheard of. I'm like, whatever. I'm like, I don't know. Kids these days, huh? But we can't be soft on them, people. There's people out there like myself, and I can do better. You just ask my wife. No, don't ask my wife. She shouldn't talk about me. But I can do better. I'm a human. I try to be better every time. To wrap this up, I want to ask you, are you battle ready? And it doesn't matter if you're a combat vet, ex-military that wasn't in combat, doesn't matter, just a person, because that's just what I am. My path led me away. A lot of Vietnam vets talked me out of the military. My mother said I wasn't good at listening to people. I don't listen to Josh all the time. I'm like, shut up, Josh.
So you've gotten a lot better.
I try to listen to you. I try. I've got a lot of faults.
There's no try here, John.
Only do.
Only do.
Yoda.
That's what you tell me.
But you distracted me. But be battle ready. Be battle ready. And that's kind of the challenge. You know, you're 20, you 30, 40, 60. Be battle ready for 60. It doesn't freaking matter, man. It doesn't. I don't see the excuse. And you know it. Like, I had a guy come in, just rejoin after 10 years, guys. After 10 years. And going, I'm ex-military, and I know I'm not ready.
Wow.
And you've gained weight, it doesn't matter. It's like our alumni message. It doesn't matter if you've gotten rusty. Nobody is disappointed in you. We all get rusty. We all go through, ups and downs in our training. I mean, you think training in martial arts since I was 19 years old, and I'm going to be 52 this spring. You don't think there's been some ups and downs in that training and some being stale and, fighting through that? But I don't know what your excuse is of not being battle ready. I hate to, talk about the border, but there are terrorists crossing our border. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. This is not a hypothetical. This is not some extremist view, because I really feel like I'm pretty darn in the middle. Kind of thought we've done a little bit, but, I'm pretty darn in the middle, except you're not going to take my guns away from me. So, but you can't throw me to the extreme of one end just because I believe in that. I believe in free speech. But what the hell is your excuse, man? That you're 20, 30 pounds overweight and you think you're able to defend your family? I mean, I guess you could do the, what is it called? I think Elon calls it his walrus move or something. Good episode on Joe Rogan. He's kind of doubled down on challenging Zuckerberg to a fight. It is freaking hysterical. It is pretty funny episode and that point there. But he's like, I'll just walrus you. I'm 240 pounds. That I was like, oh, dude, that doesn't always work. It just depends. So there's always somebody bigger and stronger, in better shape. So get battle ready, guys. Get freaking battle ready and stop making the freaking excuse. Whatever it is. I call myself names all the time. Don't be a puss.
True story.
You can be better. That's a true story.
Yeah, I hear you do it all the time.
Just do it was a great Nike slogan. Still is. Just do it. Just get out there and walk. You've got to get that freaking voice out of your head. Because it is so hard, I think, to find your way in this modern culture of what we're doing. How do you be a warrior in 2024? I would like to live a different lifestyle, but I can't give up my income to go live in the woods. I really don't think my wife's going to follow me. No, she won't, Josh. I can tell you. She already told me. I already know the answer. So, how do you feel good? And this is, I think, for everybody. I'm a guy, and I'm not, trying to exclude. Josh wanted to name the episode something stupid.
Wow.
Sometimes I think Josh's ideas are stupid. I'm like, don't name it that. That's dumb. And he gets all mad.
I give
gets
you
so mad. It's
so many
funny.
ideas, though. I'm like a machine gun with ideas sometimes.
You are a machine gun with ideas, and I'm like, stupid. I'm like, no, shut up.
Dumb. Shut up.
Shut up. And he keeps talking.
I do
I'm
not.
like, shut up. I had a good idea. You always want to get one. You're a machine gun, and you're just like on your gun, and you pull the trigger one more time. You just one more time. That's like your voice and your trigger finger. One more time. One more time. One more thing comes out. But, finding your way is really freaking difficult now. And that's why I'm like, get out and do hard things. Read The Comfort Crisis. Man, we've got to do better things because just sitting in your freaking office doing whatever it is. I was thinking about this episode. I'm like, I really enjoy, we're working on a new Peaceful Warrior logo. I really enjoy graphic design and things of that nature. And there's aspects of the back end of a gym that it's just work. But there's other things that I really enjoy. I like cutting video, even though sometimes it's pretty half-assed because you're like, I just got to get this out there. And sometimes, you spend a ton of time on a video and it gets freaking less freaking hits than the raw video. But just going through this life, sometimes it's just unfulfilling unless you get out there and do some hard things, like go freaking deadlift, pick up some freaking weight, whatever it may be. But, speaking you guys, but I know girls is the same thing, but get out there and do what did you say, Josh? Manly things. Go out there and do stuff that's going to make you a bit like, it's really, you can say it to whatever you're saying, but it's freaking human. Get out there and do stuff. This soft ass culture, it's okay no, it's not okay. You're not healthy. You're not battle ready. You're just a weak piece of shit. And that's where I'm at. I've been saying for a long time, I hold myself back. As a gym owner, you're like, oh, people aren't going to come. I'm like, you know what? It's freaking hard enough to get people. It is freaking hard to convince people to come in and work out. It is. I was just telling a cop at Halloween, I'm like, he asked me how I was going. I'm like, I don't know. I think you have a harder job than me. He's like, no way. You have a harder job trying to convince people to work out. I don't know. I'm like, you're trying to convince people to be good out there. There's plenty of freaking evil people out there. He's like, no, I still think trying to get people to a gym is harder. It's difficult. And you just got to keep grinding away. And, the people are going to come. They're going to come. And if they're not, and if they, always mean, you're already probably listening to the BS out there that's trying to convince you to be a puddle of dirt. I don't know, puddle of dirt, puddle of mud, this is why I shouldn't be live on the air, Josh. But Josh doesn't want to cut all the good stuff out. It'll take too long. God, that's why movies are so damn expensive. And, we need a bigger budget. We could do cooler things, but we don't have a bigger budget. But they want you to be soft. They want you to be weak. They want you to be unarmed so you can't fight back. These freaking corporate elitists. So, I hate them. I really, it's like Elon. I don't agree completely with the electric car movement. I think it's cool. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a really good thing. But when the government starts to mandate things, I really start to question it and go, wonder how much money you're making off this investment by mandating that things are going to be electric. Make people choose, yes, the environment. I'm an environmentalist. I want clean water. I want beautiful nature. But I feel like we jump all on board, and it really makes me really question why. Why? I think electric vehicles are great, but to mandate it and make me get one and have everything have to go electric, I really question it, and question the government. Like, how many things have they done? And I don't know why people just blindly question them when they do things all the time. that are not in our best interest, that's in their best interest. There's just case after case. Stop being weak, I guess. And it is hard. It's, something we've talked about here. I don't know what the hell to do. And that's why I have this stupid podcast that I'm out here going, stop being freaking weak, because there's enough crap out there. And maybe it gets shared around, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. And it's just something. You're like, well, I can spend more money and figure out our analytics or advertise this thing. But I don't know. I don't have the money to advertise it. There's a lot of voices out there. I think we need more voices. But here in my little sector, you got to get better. And you have to be battle ready. And this life, I don't really think we're designed to be indoors all the time, to do nothing physical. People eat like crap. They don't eat like a human being. It's that Dr. Prabhadis, what is that guy's name? He is on our ClearSky.Training. We have a free section on there if you're not a member. And there's some great videos in our free section. But I like the guy. I haven't listened to him in a while. But he said, maybe, is it 1,000 years, whatever it may be, we might evolve to be able to eat this crappy way, but you're screwed. You can't eat this way. You're not going to be healthy. Maybe over time the human body developed, maybe not. Maybe, it's just a real bad course of action. It's, medicating everybody and everybody looking for the quick fix. And there's wonderful drugs out there, and there's a lot of whole crap. And I feel like people just look for the easy button all the time. Like, maybe I should get on a drug. How about you do everything besides, and that's your last go-to for something when, look at your diet. I mean, have you done, like, let's get you on this. Like, hey, you fucking piece of shit. Why don't you freaking get on the treadmill? Doctor, how many doctors are overweight? And if you're going to a doctor that's overweight, I would question the crap out of them. Seriously, you're trying to preserve life. You're killing yourself. And people are weak, and we don't want to say anything mean that's going to hurt anybody's feelings. I'm all for being nice. Like, I hate bullies. But sometimes, and that's where I'm like, the things you're just going to have to say to yourself. Or, hey, buddy, like, you're doing great, but let's stay on it. Like, let's get battle ready and take off that next 20 plus pounds, possibly. So, I'm throwing down the gauntlet to any of you out there of step it up and get battle ready. Josh has silently brought himself in here. How are you today, Josh?
Great. Sorry, I just brought myself in.
Yeah, you're falling asleep on your phone, Tara. He's supposedly working, but he's going to tell me he was posting.
I got a new phone, so it's been pretty cool. It's got this.
And it's sucking your brain away.
It's part of the job, which sucks.
It's my job!
I don't like social media, and yet I run it for you, because I know its value as a business. Talking about the little voice in my head, though, before I really started the gym, there was always that one that was just like, you know what, just wait. It's okay, just put it off. Look over here, see what's going on. And, and after, I've been here with you for over a year now, just over. There's that little voice in my head. Can you believe that? It's already been over a year. October 13th is when we really first met last year, or October 3rd or something like that. And now, here we are a year later, and the voice in my head says things like, it's time to go exercise. You have to get up today. You've got to go do something. So there is an evolution of the voice in your head. It does happen. Sooner or later, it does switch, but it's finding that time and the switch and the place to make that switch is what's important. At least it was for me, right? And then once what's happened, like the first thing I think of every morning is what do I have to do physically to meet the standards I want to? And then I say to myself, it's time to be awesome. I'm going to go do a manly thing. I'm going to go do a manly thing, and whether I'm building something, cutting wood, putting together a bench, whatever it may be, cleaning guns, I don't care what it is, I just got to go do it, right? So get the exercise piece in, get that part of my life in, and for the most part, the rest of my day, I feel fulfilled and complete, right? People don't realize the amount of fulfillment you get from completing an exercise. Everyone's like, oh, it's just so hard, I can't do it. But when you're done, you feel pretty darn good. And then the body starts to feel good later. We just had one of the first snows here. We were shoveling the driveway as a couple, and we were thinking about this a year ago, how tough it was. Now, when we were done, we were like, that was a blast. We barely broke a sweat. It made my life better is what I'm getting at, right? Everything I've done has just made it easier, right? We get on the bikes to ride every once in a while. If we don't make it to the gym, we both get on the bikes. And now we're sitting there like, we can do 45 minutes of this. Like, it's nothing. Let's crank up the resistance, right? Yeah, there's a certain satisfaction that you get from it all. And that's the hardest thing to tell somebody or even sell someone. Because a gym membership is a hard thing to sell. People do not want to just sign up for hard work.
Yeah, and it's great when you have a partner in it with you and not bringing you down more, and challenging each other. Let's stay on it because it's easier just to go down, right? What's that say? Like, there's always, people want to bring everybody else down around them. You get that negative person, and you got the spouse that just is lazy and wants to eat like crap. They want to bring you down.
Yeah.
And it's some like that's tough. I don't I don't know if I could deal with somebody like that or.
It's tough, yeah, it would be.
That was kind of bringing you down or just not into at least something, even if it wasn't what I'm into. They like to ride bikes, whatever, like that's their fitness or whatever they're doing. I don't know if I could be with somebody that was just a couch potato and did crap. I mean,
It's an easy lifestyle to get stuck in. That's the thing is like when you don't do stuff, it's easy to just sit there and wait, right? It's not a problem. You can just watch the hours tick by. Yeah. But if you only spend 30 minutes a day, it changes your life. That's all it takes is 30. We sound like a commercial. But in 30 minutes a day, you can change your life physically. It'll blow your mind. If you change your diet just a little bit, it changes your whole life. So
and then the next step gets easier and the next stair gets easier. It's a path. It's staying on the path. It's something we talk about here is just stay the path. Yeah. Or you veer, get back on the path.
Right.
But, it's crazy. But I probably could be with somebody if they were super hot. I feel like I'd be lying. If they were super hot model, sitting on the couch and watching Netflix all day. All right, I could probably
feed them grapes and all that stuff.
We had other
sounds
things
like a good time.
We had other things in common. I feel like I wouldn't be honest. I forget. Yeah. We were talking about the crazy hot scale the other day. I forget something came up that, and my wife's like, "I feel like you're saying this." I'm like, "How do I get myself out of this thing that I just said?" Even though, of course, she took it some other different way. She just sent me a couple. A funny thing the other day too on your evolution of like I want attention to be left alone all at the same time, like trying to. But I was like, nope, you're perfectly on the crazy hot scale.
Solid choice.
If you don't know the crazy hot scale,
yeah,
just Google it, and there's always funny of like the fuck around, and people have like morphed it and the fuck around and find out scale. And, some other things that are kind of funny out there, but I'm like, you might be kind of borderline more on the crazy side sometimes. Like the crazy hot scale, really good, but
I feel like crazy or they're hot.
But no, I'd probably be like, well, I'm going out hiking, and you're gonna sit on the couch.
I'll be back in a little while.
But I feel like, being a guy, but if you're super overweight, and you got overweight on me, and you're just doing nothing to bring. I don't know if I could stay married to that person. I feel like you just grew so far apart.
Yeah.
That and it's not all about looks, but it's also about like what you feel about yourself. I mean, I try to change that person, but when people don't want to change, it's up to them to change.
Yeah.
And if they didn't want to change, I'm like, you're just killing yourself. I don't want to stay here and watch you just develop more health problems and every other thing that's associated with being overweight. And, it's the same, like skinny fat, like you're just weak. You're going to be feeble old person. You know, you're not taking care of yourself. Like, you're able to eat like crap, but you're skinny. Like, you have no muscle. You're just weak.
Don't worry, I'll take some Ozempic and get even smaller.
Yeah, take another prescription drug.
Yeah, that one scares me. But, you know, usually when you're in a relationship, you have a commonality and common ground. And if you don't have that, you know, even as your relationship progresses,
Well, you could.
the likelihood of that.
Movies.
Yeah, but there's still some of those other things. You want
It's
to get
gonna
out
be
and
a lot.
move.
There's a lot to put together.
Relationships are complicated things. They're probably the most complicated thing on the planet besides, like, compound interest, right? They're complicated.
Josh, like, let's get real. Women are the most complicated thing.
Okay. I'm gonna agree with you on that. There's days I think I'm doing everything right, and then I do something and does all of the work for the previous 90 days, right? 90 days since the last marital accident or something, you know?
90 days. 3.
That
means 3.
Right?
It means 3 days.
Because, you
We
know...
didn't go 90 days.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say 72 hours since the last blow-up. But it's... They're hard things, and if you're not doing the stuff together that you both enjoy, then, you know, maybe you reevaluate that relationship. I mean, that's the beauty of the world we live in, if you want to. I mean, be careful who you pick as your spouse, you know? That's why you date them, you find out who you like, and, you know, take it from a guy that knows how to ruin relationships. So I'm a master at ruining them. You know what I mean? So I've got a lot of experience. So I'm really working on this one, you know?
Good podcast idea.
Yeah.
How to ruin relationships.
How to ruin relationships in 10 days. 10 hours. It's like the first 10 minutes. We could probably do that one. I can see John in like a mock days, like starting with, so I see you're eating a lot already. Right? And she'd just be like,
podcast.
That would be kind of funny to watch.
You're wearing those jeans?
Yeah.
No.
Did you gain
Are
weight?
those the yoga pants you wore yesterday?
Oof. They're looking tight. I made the mistake of saying something about a shirt looking too tight once on someone whose name I won't mention, Tara. And boy, that was the last time I really like gave opinion on clothes. Now I just say it's pretty nice. You know, unless it's like really ugly, I wouldn't let it go out in something that was like not flattering. But
yeah,
gotta be careful.
It's tough.
What do you mean it's too tight? I'm like, here we go. Here we go.
Yeah, but again, you know, I don't know. It's tough to navigate. You know, it really is. But at a certain point, you got to say something. I think at a certain point,
you do.
You know, you're like, we all go up and down.
Yeah.
And I'll say 5 pounds. This is what I say. Just me. If you want to be 20 pounds, I don't give a shit. But 5 pounds, beyond that, like, you're not going to say something like, hey, in a loving manner, but 5's going to turn into 10, 10's going to turn into 20, and 20's going to be 40.
Yeah.
You know, at what point do you go, hey, honey, I'm a little concerned about you. You know, what's going on? And it, you know, so many times it can be, you know, something in their head that people eat because of whatever issue.
Yeah.
And, you know, you're stressed out from, you know, trauma and all sorts of things. You're like, hey, get a therapist, talk to somebody, or talk to, you know, have a good, honest friend, or, you know, it's, you know, go talk to Grandpa. Maybe he's just sick of, like, he's at the point that I am, and just like, I'm just not going to sugarcoat this for you. And as Jocko says, just a bunch of sugar-coated lies.
Yeah, just say
it's tough. Yeah, it's tough.
The other problem is, like, all the easy that goes with the food and stuff. It's easy to go get a coffee, man. It's easy to go get a burger, like, when you're out. Right? It's hard to cook your own meals. I personally enjoy cooking, so, like, that's part of it that I enjoy. But imagine all the easy in our life, John. All it does is make us easy and soft. And then that voice in your head just keeps saying things like, just get the 2 hamburger meal. It's okay, right? Wash it down with a soda. You might work it off at the gym later, but don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Just don't worry about it. Put it off. Put it off. Put it off. Put it off. And that's the hardest part, I think, in our society. We've been given so much easy. You know? We've forgotten what it takes to be hard. You know?
Yeah. Actually, to wrap this up, this little section, we had a kid yesterday that it was his second class moving up to the older division.
Uh-huh.
And you could see he was scared, intimidated, moving up, and he ended up rocking it. Working with another guy, maybe a year older, I don't know, but he had been in that class from the start, so it wasn't moving up. And he was in last night, and I was coaching Project Fit, and I was kind of back and forth, and I kind of noticed him up there. And there's 2 coaches on the floor in that kids program. I kind of gave it a second, and I've known this kid for a long time, so I'm like, okay, maybe I missed something because I was down the hall. But I had to go, like, somebody's got to go talk to this kid. Mom's trying to talk to him. He's got his back turned to the class because he's losing his crap. And it's like, look it doesn't matter. And, we were up late last night, lack of sleep, and fell asleep in the car because they have a bit of a drive coming here, which is always greatly appreciated that, even if you walk from across the street, I appreciate it. But, to go, hey, we don't have anything else around our house and we're going to have to drive. And it's a time commitment, which we all have limited time here. But I was like, hey, why don't you just come back and work out with me? Come on back to my workout class in the back. Come on. Let's go. Right? And convinced him to come back, and I had him do man makers, woman makers, people makers. It'll make you stronger. And not devil's press. We were doing man makers. So, light pair of dumbbells, he's 12, pair of 5-pound dumbbells. Hold those dumbbells, go down to a burpee, but holding a good solid freaking old school burpee. This crap freaking stuff that goes on out there for excuse of a burpee. Keep a strong core. Go down, do a push-up, do a row, do a push-up, do a dumbbell row, jump back up into a squat clean thruster, and do it again. I told him he was going to do it for like 10 minutes, I think, or something.
Good Lord.
Because it was already 5 minutes on the clock that was going for the class. I'm like, do it, just go until 15. Just go until 15. And I was like, all right, go until 20. All right, hey, do another 5 minutes. So the workout was a 25-minute AMRAP for the people in that class. And I just had, just going to do these. And he toughed through
Good.
the whole thing. I'm like, this is a great fight conditioning exercise. A lot of people would be like, no freaking way. I mean, no thanks. Bless you.
Thank you.
But, a lot of people would shy away from it. I mean, there's things I don't want to do generally. I'm like, that's stupid. I'm going to be hurt. That's generally like, if I look at a workout and I'm like, I'm not going to do that, it's going to be because I'm like, well, that's just stupid. I'm going to be hurt. I'm not going to hurt myself for a workout of like, let's do whatever number of something that you're just going to crush yourself. Like, there's a point, sometimes, but overdoing it and being crushed is not a great idea. 95% of the time, 99% of the time. But, I had just done 30 or 35 minutes. I don't know, probably 30 minutes of man makers, and nobody else in the fitness instructors wanted to do it with me. And I'm like, I'm doing it.
Right.
Like, just do it. Like, it sucks.
Well, they'll make a man out of you. They'll make a woman out of you.
They'll make you a person. That's for sure. And you'll feel like, all right, I did this. I did 30 minutes of this. The rest of my day, you're feeling better.
Yeah.
But, it's tough to see those kids, in a bad spot.
Yeah, and
feeling like it's tough. It's intimidating. My first, Krav Maga instructor certification, I was intimidated. You're like, oh crap, I'm actually here now, and there's all these people. So it's hard. What I wanted to talk about, would piss some people off, whether, we cut this or we do it as another video. But look, BJJ, is not a complete self-defense and fighting system. I'm gonna get like a lot of hate because of it. It is phenomenal, guys. I'm not taking you away, but I'm not saying it's not a complete self-defense and fighting system. For the majority, is there some gym? Yes, there's people out there with the real spin and the real focus, but the bulk of the things out there where people are going to are generally focused on the ground or competition. And things start standing up, and there's things that you can't run away from. Like it's the whole 2-on-1, just run. Brilliant. That's freaking brilliant. It is. It's freaking brilliant. But what happens when I can't? It's like we've done this. Like, I can't run away from my wife. And if you're not training at least some basic skills, we're always like, keep it simple, stupid here. Let's just focus on the foundation of this stuff. You're never training it. You can say just run away all you want. But what happens when you can't? You have a little kid. You can't run away. You could carry the kid. That's going to be fun. And I'm all for avoiding. I want to de-escalate. I want to avoid. I don't want to fight anybody. But just to say, run away. And more active threats, I don't generally see. And I'm saying, this is my experience. Are there guys out there doing it? I'm sure, absolutely. There's gyms with a focus, and maybe they are more of a complete. They can take it like, this is our foundation as BJJ. That's awesome, but then you're encompassing more things. Freaking awesome. Find that gym. That's the type of gym I want to train at. But when you just look at it and you're just specializing in that aspect, you're absolutely going to be really good at that. That's what we're like, borrow, whatever works. I don't care. I don't care if it's sparkle, sash, whatever. Hey, let's borrow from Sparkle Sash Martial Arts because they've got this move that seems really freaking practical. And it's something maybe relevant to what's going on, or is high likelihood to happen to you. I don't care where it comes from. If I could see something, I think somebody said something about capoeira, and I'm like, they were disguising
martial arts.
Disguising martial arts and dance. It's a whole lot of jumping around there, and I don't think that's generally practical. And yeah, great, you're disguising your martial art in a dance. But now are you just dancing around? Or are you actually doing that realistically against a resisting opponent of whatever level? I know YouTube loves to see everything at 100%, but it's just not practical. Even 50% is not practical day in and day out type of thing. It's like you look at the NFL. They're not smashing each other
every single day.
They're generally, it's game day at that level. And even the high school level, like that's why you needed the foundation of tackling at the beginning of the year and building these foundations. Yeah, now we don't want to take unnecessary hits sometimes, but sometimes at that age, they're bouncing back. But that's
as you get older, it's harder.
You get older, it's harder. So you got to, test that whatever martial art it is, and is it practical? But is it complete? Are you dealing with ramifications of the law and of what could happen to you for just punching somebody in the face that called you a jerk? There's a lot to it. I feel like, man, we could do more and more and more. There's just so much that can happen to you. And that's like trying to boil it down and not be too fancy of a training system, but borrow. And that's, I think somebody said, I didn't read it, but it was on my stupid email, and my eyes went to something on BJJ of like, tell that to Rogan. I'm like, dude, get me on Rogan.
Right, he'll talk it.
Joe Rogan. I think there's great things from it, and they tout it, but I'm about self-defense, and unless you're doing like really all these basic things and it's a self-defense class with the focus of, hey, get off your cell phone, being aware, and not, brushing on it here and there. Something I try to get better and better at of, self-defense law of what can happen to us. What do we justify? This type of thing. I try to get better. It's like we all can try to get better, but, I was talking to one of my, he's been in the gym, how many years? Goodness gracious. I'm going to say at least 14.
Wow.
He might have been, was he? Yeah, he was in the upstairs on Wilcox Street. So, it could have been 15, 16 because my daughter's 17, and that's the marker for being located here in Castle Rock. But he's like, these are things you say. I was telling you and Bill about it a little bit this morning. He's like, you say, I'm like, I'm really doubling down on that because I really feel like people aren't hearing it, and you're, as a coach, you're opening the door, and I'm waiting for you to walk through, and judging that on when somebody does, and you can see that in the number of classes that somebody does. You look at somebody like Braden and Jordy Smith that have been doing it since 14 and 15 of how many classes they've done and where they're at compared to somebody that's not doing it that many years and that many classes, that they're hearing this message enough that it's sinking in. Sometimes like when somebody just is at the gym 2 days a week, that sprinkling in whatever it is. I think sometimes like relax. He's like, God, this is stuff you've said, and I'm like, yeah, you really need to relax. you're really wound up here, and you can be in a safety position here. He was doing citizen defender. That is our take too. Hopefully, we're into this podcast, but our instructors, we borrow and train with IDS, Integrative Defense Strategies, and Todd Fossey. We've called the class Citizen Defender here. That's our brand of IDS. But it's Citizen Defender here to not confuse people, because one of the coaches, he's a Krav Maga coach, was like, what is it? And I'm like, we call it Citizen Defender here. It's based off of what Todd Fossey does, but we kind of came up with our own spin on what it is. And I was looking at other gyms, and some of them weren't calling it, they weren't, because people are like, what's IDS?
Yeah.
Most people don't.
Yeah.
They're like, what's relatable to people out there in the public, and how you have to freaking advertise. We're like, it's the Citizen Defender class, firearms training, but it's a sidetrack on that. But you're like, relax, dude. Your gun's not. I'm not really doing anything to you. I'm trying to grapple you. I'm not punching you. Relax. And I try to be better all the time. Like I said, I suck. I know I could lose any given day. And I think that's where, too, Krav Maga gets a bad rap, and even sometimes other things of, generally speaking, besides, a gym I know doesn't send people to the local BJJ school and go headbutt them. Do this, do that. Most people are going in and playing by the rules. And I'm not saying, guys, that just because I headbutted you, you're still not going to get me in a submission. You're still not going to take my back. That's what I love about fighting, because it's just one-on-one, and so many things can happen to you, and it makes you better going, I lost. Good. I was telling Tom, I have a new perspective on death with Citizen Defender, because we do stuff here and there, and we try to, your curriculum, and we're coming up on a big curriculum change here at RMSDF with the integration of IDS from Todd Fossey, that there's going to be a big change. And it's not, it's going to freak out. We've already been slowing, but how we're looking at those rotations that we have, and just the course. It's kind of, we're bringing it down to a 3-week rotation instead of a 4-week, and you start to gain, a week here, and some other things that I want to go into. But, am I biting you? What am I doing in that? And people are like, oh, Krav Maga sucks. I grappled with this guy and didn't do shit. Well, I've had people come into my gym and they said they do BJJ and they suck. Well, hey, maybe they suck. Maybe they're struggling. I mean, maybe they're just not freaking punching you in the groin because they have some freaking etiquette because it's against the rules.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's hard. And I'm not saying that's the end all be all. I like, you need to be well rounded. You need a basic foundation for self-defense. You're not going to go roll with, an intermediate to advanced person. The odds are in the street, they're going to be pretty low level. I mean, martial artists are good people as a whole.
They generally don't want to be.
But, maybe this dude sometimes like, all right, they're, more on the advanced side of a grappling discipline. And they're a little off their rocker that day for whatever reason. Are they completely in the fight? Are they, they've lost it? And, I say when you get, out of your head, you're not the best fighter because now it's emotion, you're pissed off, whatever it may be. Are they the best? But anybody can lose on any given day. If you come up against that person, I'm always like, dude, you come up against that dude, you're probably friggin' losing. Let's be freaking real here. It's like the whole, was I talking about, was it on a short, or the podcast of like, hey, special forces get ambushed. And you out there, Joe Smo, with your gun, think you're not going to get ambushed? I'm sorry. Oh, you've probably been lied to. So, shut up firearms industry, but stop blindly believing what you've been told. Question it. And be a fighter with a gun. Not a gun fighter. Not a knife fighter. I'm a fighter with a knife potentially, or whatever it is. I'm a fighter with a flashlight. I'm a fighter with pepper spray. I have pepper spray. I'm a pepper spray fighter.
The idea is that you're a fighter first.
Yes.
Right.
Like, be a warrior.
It's just an extra tool. If I got a gun, it's a tool. If I got a knife, it's a tool. Otherwise, I'm the fighter. Right?
Yeah.
Because you'll always have these. Hopefully.
Yeah. So, and I think that's, where things can get sidetracked with people and just blindly believing that this is the end all be all. I don't think what I do is the end all be all because, oh, hey, what are you doing over here? What's going on? Hey, maybe we should, adapt because we don't have an answer for that. But that is part of being an upper belt, is trying to diagnose. Something I said in this black belt 1 and 2 test last weekend. Like, I'm dying. What did I say? Were you there at that point? I'm like, I'm dying. And little Bryson, of course, is like, I'm like, I forget how I used it, but I was kind of like, stop coming to me like, daddy, what do I do? What do I do? Mommy. Like, sometimes like, parents, shut up. Figure the shit out yourself.
Yeah.
People are like, John, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do?
FSO,
what should we do? What should we do? And certainly, like people bringing to me, Braden and Jordy in Black Belt Review brought me like, hey, this is what we're doing. What do you think? But it wasn't, we don't know what to do here. And I'm like, yeah, you guys are testing for second degree black belt? I definitely want to be seeing this. I'd really like to see it at black belt, but I just go, sometimes I just go time. I spent a lot of time as a martial artist when I had my first degree black belt. So that's, it's really hard.
You tell me that all
as
the time.
An instructor of gauging, what's the bottom, what's the cutoff of that. So, what's your self-defense system? I try to be as complete as possible, but if you're just out there doing one dimension, what are you going to do when the gun's on you? That's what we do here. We subsite like Krav Maga's our base. We're not doing it's Krav Maga anymore, or well, it is Krav Maga because Krav Maga is in and out. But there's a lot of bad Krav Maga out there. I don't like being associated with bad and different things, and it's just what we do here. We're a self-defense system. Somebody said to me that some people don't like self-defense, and have self-defense systems are hokey because there's crap. I mean, you just there's some total crap dude with a gun. I thought he shot himself. I'm like, is that guy got armor?
Oh, that video I showed you?
Oh my God, that was just such crap. But guys, you gotta be battle ready. You gotta find your way in 2024 as a warrior spirit. You don't have to be yeah, Josh, I know I have a class and I'm wrapping up. He can't even tell that I'm in the wrap up. Was I not just wrapping up? I hate the hand signals.
Will you just wrap this thing up?
I want a board. I think you're punching. I'm like, is that Josh's punches are getting better, but is he punching me? Is he trying to fight me? Does he not like what I'm doing? I'm wrapping it up, Josh. Don't even try to come back on the podcast. You're off. Look, guys, tell that voice to shut the heck up and get out there and do something hard. Thanks for listening.